A slaveholder, basically, as the name says, is a owner of slaves, a person that bought a person of someone else and used them as their slave. In general, slaveholders in the 1850s considered their slaves to be their children's and therefore made it their mission to give the slaves direction, and by direction I mean work and orders in general, to teach them how to work for them and earn money. But also, in exchange, the slaveholder promised them protection. A slaveholder had the freedom to use a slave to do whatever the slaveholder wanted them to do, whenever he wanted them to do, and wherever he wanted them to do something for the slaveholder. Because according to the slaveholder, he paid his dependents. That's what he described the relationship between the slaves and the slaveholder. He protects these dependents and therefore they have to give him something in exchange. That means a slaveholder has the freedom to give orders to a slave, punish his slave if they do something bad, but also use them to gain financial profit. Slaveholders have the freedom to do to slaves whatever they wish to do, basically. In the US, slaveholders enjoyed the same basic civil rights as did Americans more generally, such as liberty granted in the First Amendment, such as freedom of speech. However, the rights of slaveholders were somewhat unique in the sense that they also claimed ownership over human beings. Slaveholders have primarily one problem because their aspirations are slightly different to the ones of the industrialists. Their primary aspiration, in a sense, is to gain financial freedom as they're still kind of depending on the slaves. So their first aspiration is to gain enough money so they're not depending on the slaves to do their work anymore, and basically could also sell the slaves again. In the long term, a slaveholder is also aspiring to exit the business, enjoy their lives to the fullest, and be able to spend quality time with their families.